shopping mall struck by Russian missiles with 1,000 inside. At least 2 people have been killed and more than 20 injured after a shopping centre in Ukraine was struck by Russian missiles, officials have claimed. Also on the programme tonight, why few Tory MPs are rebelling against the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill. While Tory MPs are expected to overwhelmingly back Boris Johnson's controversial Northern Ireland Protocol Bill, it doesn't mean he's regained his authority. And where Emma Raducanu wins in first round at Wimbledon in first centre court appearance. Emma Raducanu has beaten Alison van Uytvanck 6-4 in the first round at Wimbledon.
This is STV News at 6:30 with Stephen Woolridge and Sarah Harris.
Good evening. G7 leaders have warned Russian President Vladimir Putin will be held accountable for launching an abdominal and fatal attack on a crowded shopping centre in Ukraine. At least 1,000 shoppers were inside the mall when a Russian missile struck, said Vladimir Zelensky, in what he described as one of the most disastrous terrorist attacks in European history. At least 30 people have been killed and more than 40 injured after Russian long-range bombers fired a missile striking the mall in central city of Kremenchuk in Poltava, said the regional governor. There is also no easing of the pain or suffering, and Ukraine needs its international partners now more than ever, as our reporter correspondent John Ray reports.
The day world leaders met to demonstrate their support for Ukraine, Russia again showed it is bent on this nation's destruction. A missile strike on a shopping centre, engulfed in towering flames. The daytime attack ensured it had been crowded, with perhaps 1,000 innocent people inside, according to local authorities. While rescue workers battled the fires, inside, survivors described scenes of horror, of walls beginning to fall in. Some managed to make their own stumbling way through the smoke and the chaos to the fresh air outside. This government official said emergency services were clearing the wreckage as quickly as they could. The roof, he said, had collapsed, and a search was underway for the living and for the dead. Dozens more were injured, many seriously. The attack happened in the city of Kremenchuk, far from the front line, but home to a major oil refinery. This evening, President Zelensky said the shopping centre was of no strategic value. He accused Russia of sabotaging people's attempts to live a normal life. It all follows yesterday's strike on an apartment building in Kyiv, the first attack on the capital for 3 weeks, that left 1 dead and several injured. And in the east of the country, intense fighting continues. Ukraine still has troops in the city of Lysychansk, its last significant grip on the Luhansk province. But at huge cost, the Russians are closing in. 4 months into this war, and there is no easing of the pain or the suffering. Ukraine needs its international partners now more than ever before. John Ray, News at 10, Ukraine.
Now, when you hear for a former Tory Prime Minister describe a piece of important government legislation as illegal, ineffectual and highly damaging to the UK's standing in the world, which is how Theresa May just described Boris Johnson's Northern Ireland Protocol Bill, you might expect there to be a massive backbench rebellion against the planned legislation. But I'm told by informed Conservative sources that Monday night's vote on the literally breaking the Northern Ireland provisions of the UK's Brexit deal with the EU will be a whimper, not a bang. and perhaps 8 Tory MPs will abstain, and few to none will vote nay. But this does not mean Boris Johnson has regained his authority over his MPs. Au contraire, as one would say. One senior Tory told me the decision among One Nation Tories and Johnson's critics to allow the bill to pass its second reading was a combination of dangled political honours and the imperative of looking Eurosceptic enough to secure a job in a future leader's cabinet. Most calculations by many Tory MPs at the moment are about the optimal time to unseat Johnson and how to best derive political advantage from that. And in a party whose members remain resolutely Eurosceptic, a shortcut to the top ministerial job is not a fight for more amicable relations with the EU. End of days feel, said the MP. What's still to come on the STV evening news? We have the latest on more of today's stories. Join us after the break. Welcome back. Emma Raducanu put her troubled build-up behind her as she marked her centre court debut by defeating Alison van Uytvanck to reach the second round of Wimbledon. The 10th seed's participation in the tournament was in doubt until the weekend because of a side strain suffered at the WTA Tour event in Nottingham 3 weeks ago. Coupled with the huge attention on the US Open champion's homecoming and a tricky opponent, this was a major test, but Raducanu passed it impressively by claiming a 6-4, 6-4 victory. In her on-court interview, Raducanu said, "I know Alison's an extremely tricky opponent. She had a great result on grass. I played her last summer, and on grass where the balls stay so low, it's extremely tricky to neutralise such a great serve. I'm extremely pleased to have come through that match and looking forward to hopefully playing in front of you guys again." On the support she has received, the 19-year-old said, "I've been feeling it ever since I stepped up to the practice courts. People behind me going, 'Emma, you've got this.' And I'm like, 'Yeah, I've got this.' I'm just so happy to stay another day." Centre court was only half full when Raducanu took her first steps on it as spectators took a break following the Novak Djokovic victory, but she received an enthusiastic welcome from those left. While the 19-year-old had been given an upbeat assessment of her fitness and mindset at her press conference on Saturday, the stresses of a match, particularly such a high-profile one, are inevitably different to practice. But there were no early causes for alarm as Raducanu threw herself into serves and ground strokes, missing 2 break points in the opening game, but then saving 3 on her own serve as the first 2 games lasted a grueling 17 minutes. Alison was certainly not the kind of straw Raducanu could have been given, with the 46th ranked Belgian having won a grass court title last weekend. Albeit a second-tier level in Italy, while she upset defending champion Garbine Muguruza on her way to the 4th round in 2018. Raducanu had managed just 7 games before retiring in Nottingham, so negotiating this hurdle in any fashion was all that could be asked of her. A couple of fizzing backhands, coupled with a poor volley and double fault from Van Uytvanck, gave Raducanu the first break in the 7th game. She promptly dropped serve to Love, but then broke again and dug in at just the right moment to save 2 more breakpoints and take the first set. There were glimpses of the player who swept all before her in New York, but Raducanu has discovered, like countless others before her, that being the hunted is a very different proposition to being the hunter. She missed 6 breakpoints in the opening game of the second set, and it looked like that might cost her when Allison played 2 of the best points of the match to break for 3-1. Back came Raducanu though, breaking back to love. Another ill-timed double fault from Van Utankt on breakpoint at 4-4 gave the teenager chance to serve for the match. Raducanu proved herself to be an excellent front runner at Flushing Meadows, and a volley placed defiantly onto the open court on her second match point prompted a leap of delight from the British number 1. And that is it from the news at 6:30 team. Mark Austin and Julie Etchcombe are here with the news at 10. But from me and Sarah, good night, and thank you for watching. Good night. Good night.